Join me as I do my makeup while talking to you guys about why I left the Jehovah's Witnesses and why I also decided to start speaking up. Let's get into it. So I decided to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses in 2017. But before I got to that decision of, okay, I'm officially leaving, it was very hard. It wasn't an easy decision because I was raised in this religion and it was literally all I knew. The religion really does something in us, and most people who were Jehovah's Witnesses or still are Jehovah's Witnesses will definitely agree with me when I say this, that the religion really conditions you to prioritize the truth. Now, the religion did muddle things up a little bit, and not a little bit, a lot. And a lot of things within the religion are definitely not the truth. So coming to terms with that, after growing up in this religion, I left at like 24. It was very hard. It took years for me to reconcile with the fact that, hey, the religion I was raised into is not what it claimed to be. And this was so painful because I knew that in leaving, my whole world would be turned upside down. Like literally, my whole life changed. I lost all of my friends in the religion. My relationship with my parents was also affected. And there was a point where my mom was not even talking to me anymore. And that was so hard. I remember just going through a deep depression and just feeling so lonely in the world. And I felt like no one could possibly understand what it is that I'm actually going through. It was being raised as a Jehovah's Witness that actually helped me to deal with the fact that I have left the religion. See, what the Jehovah's Witness religion really does to its members is that it conditions you to always seek out the truth. Everything that you say, everything that you believe in needs to be basically verified. It needs to be proven that this is the truth. And for me, that's actually what saved me. This is what actually gave me the courage to leave this religion and speak out. The fact that I knew that I was not lying. I am not lying when I mention all of these court cases taking place around the world. I'm not lying when I share people's stories. I'm not lying when I share the facts that, hey, this religion actually has very weird and suspect roots. I'm not lying when I say that this religion did not allow Black people at first and it's got racist roots as well. Like anything I speak of on this channel is backed up by some research that I've done. And that's the one thing, honestly, that has given me the courage, just the ability to speak out against the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yes, it was very scary in the beginning, very scary, but it's not so scary anymore. It's really not scary because I'm not lying. Like, I go to sleep with a good conscience, knowing that I am speaking out and helping people that are going through a very difficult time in their life, where some of their family members, some of their friends who are still part of this religion do not believe them, do not believe what they went through or what they're currently going through. And even as someone who has not gone through what they have possibly gone through in this religion, it's not going to take someone getting horribly hurt and me having to see it with my eyes for me to actually believe it. I was raised to believe victims. I was raised to believe people when they say something has happened to me. And that is the one thing, honestly, that gives me so much courage on this journey. The first thing that alarmed me about the Jehovah's Witnesses was the Royal Commission. So in 2016, I started this very boring job as a data capturer, and because the job was just so boring, I had lots and lots of time on my hands, and I was able to just watch a lot of YouTube videos while working, or just listening to YouTube videos while working. So this is when I started listening to a lot of JW content. I would just try and find, any Jehovah's Witnesses that was creating content online. And that's when I started stumbling across things I wasn't supposed to stumble across. I learned about the Royal Commission, and basically this is where Jehovah's Witnesses, church leaders were called into by a commission that was held in Australia. And I think it's like a court, or very similar to a court, because there was a lawyer and they were asked questions and they had to answer these questions under oath. And when I saw church leaders literally lying as in lying under oath about very serious things. When I say very serious things, I mean children and women being harmed, and these men were lying. They were actually lying under oath because they were saying these rules that I've never heard of. And I'm learning now also about the two witness rule, and I'm like, I've never heard of this. And I'm also learning that, hey, no, there are women who can help people if they've been harmed. They do allow women to help victims. And I'm like, I've never heard of this, never seen this. And that's when I was like, something is awry here. So what I did is I started allowing myself to watch this content without judgment. And that for me was honestly a game changer, because I didn't go into watching those videos thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to leave tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. I was still very scared. But I just allowed myself to, you know what, let me just be informed. Let me just know what's actually going on. What are these people saying? What are the facts? What is the truth? What is the government saying? What are people reporting? What are news agencies reporting? You know, I allowed myself to go down that rabbit hole, and I was shocked. I was really, really shocked. The Royal Commission literally blew me out of the waters, because to see one of the governing body members, I think his name is something Jackson, lying about his whereabouts, lying about rules, lying about his position and the power that he actually holds in the religion, that for me was shocking. Because in the Jehovah's Witness religion, governing body members are literally a step down from Jesus. Literally a step down from Jesus. So the things they say are really, really adhered to and respected and seen as this is God speaking through this man. Or these men, because there's a group of them, and one of them is from Australia, so I think that's why they were able to get him into the Royal Commission and have him answer a few questions. And that for me shocked me. I was so shocked hearing that man say the things he was saying. So after learning about the Royal Commission, it was a no-brainer for me that I had to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I left. I haven't really been back. I did attend a few meetings or services when I lived in Joburg. I hope you guys can see me. Let me try to adjust you a little bit more. So I lived in Joburg between 2018 and 2019. And that's when I did attend a few JW meetings, only because I was so lonely when I was staying in Joburg. However, I haven't been back. So on my journey of speaking out, I have come across so much information that is damning about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, there's so much information. You just literally have to go onto the internet and look up these stories and be shocked. I think I want to start off with Japan. So learning that the government of Japan is also investigating the Jehovah's Witnesses, to me was like, oh my gosh, finally. They are learning that there's a lot of child abuse that actually happens within the Jehovah's Witness community. And they've even showed stats and facts that when a child has been, harmed, CSA has taken place, it's most likely someone within their congregation. So these dangerous men, they are in your congregation. And that for me was quite alarming and very shocked, very shocked. And Japan has to really take this very seriously, which I think they will, because of the low birth rate that's currently happening in Japan, and also with the assassination of their former president by someone who's also part of a high control religion. Like, this is something they're taking very seriously, and I think we're going to be shocked by just the findings that are going to come out from all of these investigations that are taking place in Japan. One thing to also mention is that the Japanese government did also say that when victims have to relay their trauma and they have to explain to church leaders what happened in terms of CSA, that in itself is also a form of CSA. And this to me was just also such shocking information, because when you learn about how the Jehovah's Witnesses question their members when it comes to this, it's very intrusive. when I say very intrusive, I really mean very intrusive. They will ask you, did you enjoy it? Did that person enjoy it? How many times did you know, like, how many times did you touch them? Where did you touch them? How did they react when you touch them? Like, it's such intrusive questions, and it's so painful. So imagine now you've gone through this and you're relaying this again to a bunch of men, literally a bunch of men who are also not calling the police. They are mandated to not call the police when this happens. So I do think that the Japanese government is going to crack down on them. I just hope that it sticks. I just hope other governments will also start to follow suit. Then you also look at Norway. Norway is another country that is really cracking down on the Jehovah's Witnesses. Their church status has been revoked, meaning that they are no longer seen as a religious organization, and they can't really now. They can still practice as a church, people can still congregate, however, they cannot marry their members because they're no longer seen as a religious organization, and they no longer receive funding from the government. The government used to give them, I think, around $1.5 million a year, and they're no longer getting that money. Hence, we're seeing so many rule changes from the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's because they've lost their funding from Norway, and Norway said, you guys do not care for your members, you do not look after children. It has been proved that you do abuse children. So Norway then revoked their religious status. And the Jehovah's Witnesses are really losing it. And if members just really paid attention to the news and they paid attention to such stories, they would now really get to see their church leaders for truly who they are. Men who are just money hungry. It's all about the money. They never decided to change the rules when they saw people dealing with bad mental health from the church. They never cared to help families who have lost a family member by not accepting a blood transfusion. Like, there's just so many things that have gone wrong in the religion, and they have not changed anything. But as soon as their pockets were being touched, as soon as money was now halted from coming in, rules are changed. People can now wear pants. Women weren't allowed to wear pants in the religion. Men can now grow beards. Men were not allowed to grow beards. I remember in our congregation, it was such a huge thing. Like, we had an elder who really liked pretending that he owned the religion. And because of, I mean, not the religion, but owned, you know, our congregation, let me just say that, that man would literally be talking about how men are not allowed to grow beards. Oh, that man is so awful. Like, our congregation has so many issues, actually. Let me talk a little bit to that. Our congregation was so problematic. There were people fighting over positions. People who have literally fought physically in the church. I remember there were people fighting over money. Someone came to our congregation with a crowbar and beat up he's not an elder, he's like, I think he was a ministerial servant, but very old man. A smoker. He smokes, busy pretending like he's not smoking. And also sometimes I remember he'd be like shaking, and you can just see that he had withdrawal symptoms. Alcoholic withdrawal symptoms is what I call them, dihoris. If you know, you know. This man had dihoris, and these are the people now harassing my mom about me and the content that I'm actually making, which is why, for those who are following, you will see that I actually took a break from creating JW content. And this was only because these people were really just harassing my mom, and I felt so bad, and I was just trying to figure out, how can I continue on my path without stepping on any toes? And then I was like, no ways, F this, let me step on these toes. Let me step on these toes, because these people are not stepping on toes. These people are destroying lives. So I will speak out. I have to speak out when I can. The Jehovah's Witnesses also have a very racist past. A lot of people don't know this, but the religion did not allow black people to join in the early 1900s, and they only started allowing black people in when they saw that, hey, they can actually make money from black people. And I'd made a whole video talking about this as well, on how the Jehovah's Witnesses are anti-black. And yeah, there's just a lot to unpack there. Also, the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses is a Zionist, a literal Zionist. So I don't even think he created this religion to worship God, but this was probably just a means for him to extract money from people. So there's that as well. Benjamin Netanyahu, that man, has been quoted by thanking Charles Taze Russell, the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses, for all of the work that he has done for that country, for that actual country. So I hope, if you're still thinking and making excuses for the Jehovah's Witnesses, that you're taking all of this information that I'm saying and just looking it up and seeing it for yourself, because it's shocking. It's actually very, very, very shocking and heartbreaking, because so many people have lost their lives when it comes to this religion. Like, honestly, we shouldn't be allowing these religious groups, institutions, whatever you want to call them, cults, we shouldn't allow them to get away with what they're doing, because they are just exploiting people who are going through hardships, people who are going through very, very difficult economical situations or personal situations, and they are just exploiting them. And I think we can't really blame people who are just seeking salvation, trying to please God, which is why I keep reiterating, and I will always say, that the Jehovah's Witnesses are not bad people, especially just the members, the normal people who go to attend church. Those aren't the bad guys. The bad guys are the men at the top and the people that support them, of course. Those are the bad people. Those are the men who know who is harming who in the organization or within the congregations, and hiding those names, not going to the police. Those are the people that governments should be cracking down on. This whole church is coming to an end, and we're literally witnessing it. And it's just a matter of, do you want to go down with the Jehovah's Witnesses as well? Because I don't think their end is going to be pretty. I don't think it's going to be pretty. And I don't think you should be arrested because of a church. Like, no, I don't believe in that. And it's sad that a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses have been conditioned to believe that, hey, it's okay, they might have to go to prison for this church because of, what's the word, they just being picked on, or people just are attacking Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's not the case. We are not against people. We're not against people worshiping God. We're not against people being allowed to practice their religion. What we are against is a religion that facilitates and protects men that harm children. A religion that is just siphoning money out of the vulnerable people. A religion that is extorting, exploiting, and just doing so many other bad stuff. But yeah, that's a little roundup of why I decided to speak out against the Jehovah's Witnesses and what has led to me getting so far, getting to this point. Leaving the religion for me was honestly the best decision I've ever made for myself. I am now living a life that I am just so proud of, that I am enjoying so much. I get to do whatever it is that I want to do. I watch any type of content. I befriend whoever I want to befriend. I date whoever I want to date. Like, I was just thinking about this the other day, that I am 31, and normally people my age are married, have children, they have settled down, and here I am living my life like I'm in my 20s and just having fun. And I am just so blessed and so lucky, and I know that I'm able to live this life because I have lived the Jehovah's Witnesses, because I'd probably be leading a completely different life if I was still in that religion. And here is the final look. I'm obsessed with this makeup. If you want to see this lip combo, go check out my YouTube short. That is where I will have this lip combo posted. And this brings us to the end of the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know that leading the Jehovah's Witnesses, for anyone out there who's going through this, it's quite challenging. It's very difficult, but I promise you it gets easier down the road, down the line. You just have to prioritize yourself and keep looking out for yourself and making sure that you are taken care of, and just block out the noise, find your tribe, find your people. And I think that's when you will start finding peace and joy once again in your life. It's very hard, but you can do this. You've survived door-to-door ministry, you've survived house to house, same thing. You've survived handing out pamphlets on the road, talking to strangers about God. If you can do that, you can definitely also establish a new life for yourself, no matter how hard it is. So join me next week, and I will see you there.